Okay, in this next video, we're going to look at how to do a condition with our range. So I'll close this file, just do a new one, and we're going to pretty much do the same kind of thing. It is a count, count controlled loop, which is iteration as such, and we will just say that it's another for loop with selection though this time. Okay, so this is iteration with selection, and you can put, of course, today's date, and then you put your author name. So author p.mct. Okay, so this for loop that we're going to try now, I want to say 4x in range again, and this time I'm going to do 1 to 101. Okay, so this will print out 100 numbers. All right, so if I run this, need to save it, new file, and I've got exercise 01 for loop, so I'm just going to call it 02 and for loop with selection. So you can see how I'm keeping my files organized, giving it a good name. Okay, so invalid syntax, where I've got that 4x in range. Okay, so you can see there, this is interesting. It's always good to look at little errors that you get. So invalid syntax, oh, what could it be? Now, it is highlighted that this is a problem. But Python or a computer as such doesn't really know what the actual problem is. It just knows that it got to this point here and it couldn't go any further. So essentially, usually it's nothing to do with this bit. If it's highlighting a sort of red, orangey red color here, it's usually something before that. So you have to check it. So it's basically that I forgot to put in 4x in range there. So we'll run this again, and you can see it's now printing out 100 numbers. Okay, so that's great. Now it does that. Now we could do, of course, in here, as we said before, we could do this step that we could do 2 here, and we could say do it like that. So if we run that, and this was that stepping it, so we're getting all the even numbers here. But what if you already had a list? Let's say we already had a list of numbers, and this list of numbers could represent anything, right? And what we want to do is we want to just get all the numbers that are all the even numbers out of that bunch of that number set. So this is where we might want to do a selection statement. So selection was, if you remember, if, right? Saying this if question. So how would we do it here? We need to do if x. Now, how do I find out if a number is even? Well, you might want to think about how a number, if it's divided by 2, what do you get from that? So very simply, let's just have a look. If you can't think of what happens, but let's say I take the number 6, divide it by 2, I get 3 with no remainder, right? A remainder of 0. And if I take 101 divided by 2, I get 50.5. If I do 602 divided by 2, I get an integer, a whole number with a 0 remainder. So this is the important thing that you think about here. If we have a set of numbers and we're not just wanting to step through them, we want to actually look through them. So what we're going to do, we're going to say, is this number have a remainder of 0? Does this number, or well, actually these numbers, I would say, does this number have a remainder of 0? No. Does this one? Yes. Does this one? No. Yes, no, yes, no, and so on. So how do we do it? Well, we use one of those arithmetic operators, not the divide. It was actually modulo. So we do modulo 2. So if x modulo 2, if the answer of this is equal to 0, so we'll say equal to 0, then print out X. And you can see it's indented, so if I want to check my indentation, I go to the previous line, press enter. So you can always do that. So say you've done something like this and you've done some space bars by accident and you're not sure about the indentation there. If that looks a little bit weird to you, just go backspace to the previous line and then press enter. You get your indentation properly here. So we've got from the beginning 2 indents, and the reasons for that are we've got, this is the first line of our loop, so for 1 in a range of 1 to 101, if 1 modulo 2 is equal to 0, then print 1. Then the next time we go round, we go back to this again, and we're saying for 2, because in the range of 1 to 101, the next one is the number 2. So for 2 in this range, if 2 modulo 2 is equal to 0, the answer is yes, the answer is true. So then we do this. Okay, so we will run the program, and you can see it happening, and it's just printing it out, right? So it's just printing all our even numbers, and you might think, well, wait a minute, we kind of did that before, but it's not the same. Before, what we were doing is just stepping, so we were just printing it out, every other number out in a range. This one, we're actually checking these numbers. We're saying, are these numbers even numbers? Are they divisible by 2? And then we're printing that message out accordingly. Right, now there's a few other things that we could think about doing here as well. Another thing would be, we've got a set of 100 numbers here, and what if we wanted to find all the numbers within this that have the number 6? So here you can see I've got a 6 there, 16's got a 6, 26 has got a 6, 36, 46, 56, and so on, right? And then all the ones where you get 60, 64, and so on. So what we could do is change this if statement, and we could think about things like that. So if I did, we're going to get an error actually. So if I'm going to say if 6 in X, and then I'm going to just check that, print it, print X. So if there's a 6 in X, so you would say that if X was equal to, let's say it's 24, the answer should be no, so it won't print it. If the answer is 26, there's a 6 in 26, so it should print it. Now, this should throw up some sort of error message, and it's an error message with this, and you can see a type error message. So we're saying if there's a 6 in X. Now, we can't actually do that, and it tells us exactly why. It says argument of type int is not iterable. Iterable isn't iteration. We're not able to iterate through this. Okay, so that's a little bit weird, but we can do this. We can find out, and the way to do it would be actually just to change it to a different type. So we've got 6 as an integer, and X, well, if you can't think about what data type that is, well, because it's weird, because you're not actually defining or declaring X beforehand, but X is an integer as well. So we can't do this with these 2 integers. So what we could do is change it into a string. So I'm going to say if 6 in, and then this. Now I can't do this because that's not going to work either. So I need X to stay as a variable, but I want that variable, even though it's an integer, I want to change it to a string. So I do str like that. So this is a function that changes X, the variable, to a string data type. You could have done the same with 6 as well. We could have done like this, str, like that. It would work exactly the same, but it doesn't really matter that we've just actually changed it to a string like this. But we couldn't do the same with that, because if you do X as a string, we're actually then just making X the letter, the string, where in actual fact X here is whatever number it is. So the first time that runs through this for loop, 1 is going to be in here, and this 1 is going to be turned into a string. So let's run it, And there you have it. Works absolutely perfectly. So it gets the first one, it's fine. 6, there's a 6 and 6, there's a 6 and 16, and so on, right? And you get all the 60s, of course, there, and 76, 86, 96, right? So all through all of our numbers. And that's very, very simple. Now, this string X like this didn't turn X into that data type, because this is only within my condition. So I'm kind of this is like temporarily I've changed it to a string, but actually when I print X, X is still an integer. Okay, if I did then strx here, then I would be printing it out as a string, but it is still an integer at this minute. So I could do, for example, just to prove it, x plus 1. Right? And then you would be able to see that, yeah, of course, it is still, this x is still an integer because I can do plus 1. But if I did str x like that plus 1, what's going to happen? Oh, type error, can only concatenate string, not integer to string. So what that concatenate means is that you could actually put two strings together. So this plus 1, this is an integer, so I can't do that. But if I did this, of course, which looks a bit weird, you would see it will happen. Now, what happens? What I get? This 61, 161, 261, 361. So previously, I was actually adding x plus 1, which was given me, so the first time it was 6, because we had it here where we had 6, and then plus 1, of course, was 7, 16 plus 1, 26 plus 1, and so on. And here I've turned them both into strings and used the plus sign for that, and you can see it's done 6 and 1, 16 and 1, 2, 6, 26 and 1, and so on. And that's the end of that little exercise. Hopefully you've been able to see some of the little tricks and things that you can do with just playing around with different data types and so on within the program.